Hello, hello, hello. Look who's here.
Hello, how are you,
So,
Paul?
hi, Burak. Welcome on Igniting Minds, the Power of Knowledge. So, in this platform, we discuss about the story, journey, and the success and failure.
hmm
So, I'm very excited to talk to you where we going to discuss about your journey and you have been explored, uh, you know, quite good number of opportunities you grabbed it. Let's start with the introduction.
hmm
Who you are and from where you come.
Yeah, I'm Burak Demirtas, and my home country is Turkey, so my story started in there. I'm a mechanical engineer in my undergrad. I joined my first job at Ford Motor Company in Turkey. After 5 years of product development and design engineering experience, I joined biggest aerospace and one of the biggest defense companies in Turkey. We were making satellites, aircrafts, helicopters, those kind of stuff. For 5 years, I've been there. And then I wanted to change and moved to France for another company called Alstom, which is a leading train manufacturer in the world. And I've spent some time in there as well. I needed to make a decision about how to continue my career. I always wanted to work more with data analytics side. With my passion to the coding, I wanted to switch to the business analytics instead of going forward with the engineering. After 12 years of engineering career, I switched to business analytics by entering the UNH master program in Connecticut for business
Mhm.
analytics. I finished the program, joined to Yale, and now I'm in the academic analytics team of the Yale, and I'm working as a data analyst and business intelligence developer in there. So that's the short story of my side, but we can
Okay.
discuss more
Yes,
for the interested areas.
correct. So I see you have been in data analytics, right? You have been data science, you have been into SQL, Power BI, Six
Yes.
Sigma, a lot of like, I see a lot of technologies you are exploring and you have pretty good experience as well. So,
hmm
how did you choose which one you should pick up and work on that?
Actually, I saw this kind of skills as a kind of toolbox because, for
Mm-hmm.
example, when I first entered my first job, it was a mechanical engineering job, which doesn't require coding, which
Correct.
doesn't require SQL knowledge or anything, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
had to track the engineering changes. And to be able to make a good product launch, you need to communicate with a lot of systems and you need to make a kind of um, gathering of all of the information from different systems, and you need to make it fast. You need to analyze the data fast, and you need to
Mm-hmm.
be precise. So
Correct.
there was no exact system, or our systems were not communicating each other very well. So there
Mm-hmm.
was a gap,
Yes.
okay, and
Yes.
the gap was being filled before with Excels, some small SQL patches, and everything was just all around, scattered. And I needed to make them efficient, and I needed to find a way to make them efficient. And for
Mm-hmm.
example, in my university or high school years, I was all around with the coding. I was making websites, and I knew MATLAB from my engineering background. But I've never used Microsoft Access at that time. And I've never used the SQL very much in detail. Just I used, you know, a little piece of it just to get my work done. But at that time,
Mm-hmm.
I needed to learn it very deeply. And also I needed to learn, for example, I was writing some simple macros in Excel,
Mm-hmm.
but that
Mm-hmm.
time I needed to create something with the interface also to enable the other users contribute to my work. So
Mm-hmm.
when I asked my colleague, experienced one, he told me that um you can find a course for this, but none of the courses you will have will teach this job to you. And I said, so what I'm gonna do? And he said, you just start and I will mentor you. And then with his
Okay.
mentorship, I started to learn Microsoft Access first, and I enhanced my skills with the Visual Basic for applications.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went deep
Mm-hmm.
into the SQL and more on that. But what happened after? Besides my engineering skills, no one was expecting me to create a software, a very sophisticated one, to do all of these work in the behind. But it
Mm-hmm.
enhanced our work, it improved our efficiency, and our team was three-man team. Then when I was leaving, it was 12 people, just because what we did. Because the other teams, similar teams, were doing the same thing 6 times less efficient than us. This was a proven data. And it was about the cost, it was about the time, it was about everything. In the end, what happened? As a mechanical engineer, I learned something which normally, according to my undergrad studies, I would never need, right? But actually, I needed it and I learned it. And then I loved it. Then, when I moved to the second job, by the way, in the meantime, I learned about the Six Sigma and I became a Six Sigma black belt at Ford. And it taught me
Mm-hmm.
a lot of statistics, deep statistics. And I learned all about the hypothesis testing. I learned about the DOE and many, many statistical things we are using today. So at some point, I was my universe was leading me towards this data analytics with statistics area. And after
Okay.
some point, this hype of data science, you know, the old school statistics turned to a new kind of, I will say, funny or more appealing words called as data science now. And then it got popular. And I said, yeah, this is something I need to do. I want to work on this field. I want to work. I want to
Mm.
work on more, uh, you know, data visualization, data analytics, and prediction. And this is what I love. Then I switched to that. But in the way, the things I learned, I didn't learn them just because there was a course for them, just because I needed to put them in the CV. No, I learned them because I needed them. And when you
Yeah,
learn
because you
something,
understood
yeah,
the importance of it, like how it's helping on day-to-day basis, right? I think like it's
exactly,
very important to understand before start learning any technology or diving into that. Like you need to understand how particular this technology is going to help you on day to day life, and the
exactly,
moment you start having that experience, right, how it's helping, then you start learning, and that enhance your more interest, because that the
exactly.
productivity go very high, and then those are the things which you are looking for.
Yes,
So yeah,
exactly.
carry on.
One of the problems, as you say, one of the problems in the current world about the education, especially, is that they, everyone is approaching to education like something you will have to learn many things in a curriculum. But the real world is not like that. The
Correct.
real world requires specific skills
Yeah,
and
it's totally different.
specific skills and specific depth. And some of the theoretical things you learn are just not applied to the real world. So, for example,
Correct.
if you would train a worker or construction technician, what would you teach him? There would be hammers to use, there would be drills, there would be many different tools you can imagine in a kind of construction work, right? But maybe that person will only
Mhm.
be doing the painting to the walls, so drilling will not help the guy. you know Maybe making the concrete will not
Correct.
help the guy, but making the mixture of the paint is what he needs. For example, using the brush is what is needed. So The current day's
Yeah.
education doesn't tailor you with this approach. It doesn't teach you how to get things done. It teaches you just
Mm-hmm.
the literature, I will say, literature about that topic. So if you take a course, if many of I recruited people before, and I mentored a lot of interns before, and I saw many CVs, and I saw many keywords in the CVs like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I'm an expert in SQL. I'm an expert in Power BI, for example." But with the first day, they will crash. You know, just within the first day, with the first question.
Yeah, you can't call yourself expert, I believe.
Yeah, because the problem is that,
Correct.
again, the understanding problem is uh, getting a course is not teaching you how to do the things. It's preparing you
Correct.
how to learn to do.
Agree.
You know, that's the key point we need to think about when we are advancing our career. So that's my approach, and I see all of these kind of things like, if I would say like, hey, I'm a mechanical engineer, why would I care about the data analytics? Would I do my job? Yes. Would I get my salary? Yes. But would I add a value to my job? No, I wouldn't. It wouldn't advance my job. It wouldn't advance me. I would be just an ordinary guy doing what's given, you know, making the ordered job done and go home. So it's up to you also. What do you see in yourself and in your role at your job? Or maybe more philosophically, in your life? You
Mm-hmm.
know, how you position yourself in this planet or in this universe? Like, do you want to do something meaningful with you, with your own soul, or with your work, or you just see it as a kind of, hey, I'm going, getting paid, and that's it. Is this how you approach? So it is making let's turn back to your initial question, and how did I learn the things? I learned the things with this mindset, nothing more. This mindset teaches you, not the
Yeah.
courses, not the other things. This mindset and the following curiosity. Yeah.
So I would like to ask before you land yourself to Yale, you landed to University of New Haven, right? I would
Yes.
ask you to how did you identify that you have to do this course? As you mentioned like prior as well, that taking course is not the thing like you learned. You have to
Yes.
push, take initiative to indulge yourself into particular topic and the tools and how you are adding value to the industry and yourself as well or in your job. So,
Yes.
how you decided? Because I see you were in completely different zone and completely
Yes.
like in you were love automotive industry. You were like working in railway, transportation
Aerospace.
industry. You
Yes.
were working in aerospace. Those kind
Yes.
of you were in, right? And then
Yes.
you started having that interest to learn more about the data.
hmm
So first is how you chose University of New Haven and the industry that particular this course, because a lot of students I see out there, they find it very difficult to what needs to be done. They are doing something different, but they are very difficult to identify the interest area that
hmm
this is what like will make. So if you can tell us your journey how it was.
Yes. As I said, I use the metaphor for toolbox, right? When I learn the things personally, I don't learn them as something to put in CV. I learn them as some things to paint my wall. How should I paint? I need to paint the wall. What do I need? I need the bucket of paint. I need to learn, I need to practice in some, blank sheet first, then apply to my wall, right? So I need materials. I need to improve my skill to paint the wall. And then I need to get my hands dirty. at this last part. My initial ambition to going into data analytics and learning this stuff was coming from my, it was forged with my engineering training, not in the school, but in at Ford especially, because at Ford they taught me how to manage a project, how to design a product, and how to launch it. Then, when you are doing it, how to not do it with a conventional way, but with a kind of proactive way, using statistics, using prediction, using some, you know, not reactive approach when the things are done, just not reacting to it, but before things are happening to predict what's going to happen. So that mindset also changed my approach or vision to the future for myself, and I was always honing my skills about coding, about data analytics, and whenever I go deeper, I loved it more and more. When it's at some threshold, I need to switch this side. I was also, for my life, I was also in a decision point because my fiancée was living in United States and I was living in France. So that was a decision making point. Like either she's going to come to France, which would require her to learn some French. The
Mm-hmm.
second option is that I will come here to US and I already know English, so there is no, you know, blockage for me. And she spent years in here with her career and everything. She has a good setup in here. It wouldn't be fair for me to call her to France. So I needed to make a decision at that point when I was switching my career, not to pursue my study in France,
Mm-hmm.
but pursue in United States. So for the UNH perspective, choose the UNH based on the location. Actually, why not in California or why not in Florida, but Connecticut? That's the answer for it because she was here. She was in Connecticut. So I needed it somewhere in Connecticut. So, but the second
Okay.
point,
I got your interest point.
yeah, but the second point,
Okay.
why I choose this program, which is more important, I believe, is that first I
Mm-hmm.
went for data science. I wanted to be directly in the data science program, but they were requiring, as I told, they were requiring the computer science background, which I didn't have in my undergrad. Even if I was feeling very much capable, I wouldn't get an interview if I would apply. So I just, you know, didn't go that way. So I met with Professor Dumont and he told me that, hey, our program is maybe also what you can like. And when I checked the curriculum, actually, it was just like data science. It was kind of what I was looking for already.
Okay.
So instead of using
Yeah.
Python, they were using mostly R. So I wouldn't mind. For me,
Are.
they are both
Yeah.
they're both the same. So I say, oh, that's it. That's the one I want to go. So you were my classmate at the program, and you know how I loved it
Yeah.
and how I was into it.
Yeah,
And
and the best thing I'll say, always whenever I have seen you, you always try to indulge more on the topic, and I always see you and I feel how he's getting that interest, to dive himself like particular in the project. So that point made me feel like to learn more. So whenever I have connected to you, whenever I have been around you, by just seeing you and observing you, I felt like, oh, I should also get like something. So I remember that the team, a lot of like new technology also we have been learning together in the class,
mhm.
with other classmates as well, which was very exceptional, very nice. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty wonderful.
Yeah, and when you saw me like I'm going beyond the curriculum all the time. It was all about I was
Yeah.
seeing a wall to paint, and I know what I need to do and what I need to learn to paint the wall, right? So that's why I came here. That's why I learned. The school was not steering me. I was steering myself, and the school was just a kind of additional material to me. So that's why I think one of the most important things in the higher education that before you enter, before you go into what you're doing, you should
Mm-hmm.
have some idea about
Mm-hmm.
what is needed, what you are going to really get from there. Or before choosing any master's program,
Yeah.
for example, or before choosing any PhD program, I think you should first test yourself in real life, in some real job. It could be a hobby job or a real job, but somehow you should try if you really like painting something before you go to painting your walls. Okay? If you don't like painting something on a very blank, very small area, then just don't try to be a wall painter because you will not like it.
I think it's you made it very valid point. You need to explore before you decide that you will do this rest of your life. Right? You need to
Exactly.
have an idea what
Exactly.
you are going to do. And until you love that, so sometime I have noticed a lot of students, they just choose the program before even knowing what they are going to do in future, and they just choose it and they don't love it. Here is the problem, that you have to know your job before getting into the course. So
Yes.
then you need to know day to day life, how day goes, probably like for a data analyst or business analyst, what are they going to do on a daily basis. And the moment you have that idea, then you know how you can add value to particular job, particular industry, or particular company. So this that's how like you can start picking the tools. Okay, these tools are like more important or not. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
this is
Exactly.
something like really, I feel like it's a really good point we are making here.
Actually, it's coming from my personal experience. Of course, everyone can look in a different approach on this, but it was always my main point also when I was mentoring people, when I was leading people, because I was used to be also I used to be a manager at some point. Also, I was, as I said, I was mentoring the interns, or I had students of my own as well. And whenever people came to me, I was
Hmm.
trying to first force them to explore first what they really like. Because as Confucius said, like, do what you love, then you will never have to work. Because when you're doing something you love, you will never feel it like you're working. But to know, that there is a
Correct.
missing piece in this sentence. How will know what you will love? For example, what I like in US culture and here is that they are sending their children to many kinds of activities from the early ages. You know, going dancing, going ballet, going, softball, many kinds of sports. They try to push the children to experience. And those experiences teach children what they will like. Of course, this is about the opportunities and also economical, wealth as well. But what they do and what they, you know, teach the children is that how to learn what they like. But in many of the cultures all around the world, not everyone has these opportunities. Not everyone has this wealth. But especially when you're going with the higher education road, then you are taking the risk of you are making an investment. You are moving maybe away from your country. Maybe you are just leaving your job like I did. I left my old career behind here, right? So it's a bold decision to do. So you need to be very careful about what you really like. And that's why I say before you decide these
Yeah.
kind of
I mean,
things, Just first experience if you will really like it. Try to find a way to experience it. Go for a volunteering thing. Try to meet with people and try to experience their daily life first. Then you will understand if you will like it or not. For example, if I wouldn't like this thing, and if I would be coming here, I would have done a lot of investment and left my old career and then end up unhappy with a different world. It would be just of kind of ruining myself. But for what? Why I left
Correct.
my family in my home country, in the beginning, right? Right? Well, why I'm away from my own culture and trying to live in a world which is kind of foreign for me. But at the end, I
Mm-hmm.
pursue my ambition, my will, and my curiosity. That's how I approach the things. And I think it's a valid point.
No, I really like this point, and this is very important for people whoever is pursuing or they are planning to do anything. And leaving the country is very big thing. The moment you leave everything, you have to sacrifice in a different country. You have to do a lot of, you know, if you don't love what you are doing, you will drain yourself during the process. And somehow,
Yes.
like, that's how success and failure comes in, we face, right? So
Yes.
I feel this is very important. Since you have left your own country, what is the major difference you have seen in US and France?
Before going that, I want to share a very quick thing, if you allow me, if you don't mind. It's
Mhm.
about
Yeah,
um,
yes. Yeah, for sure.
it's about the academia's first years in ancient Greek. Okay, so academia was not invented in the recent centuries. It was thousands years back term, but the academia itself was a very different thing back in that time. For
Hmm.
example, when you were going to academia to hear listen a kind of lecture in there, you are not registering yourself to something. You were not going there to get a diploma. You were just going there and some guy was just telling
Hmm.
something. You were just listening there and going away without any diploma or anything else. So, what would be your diploma? Your diploma was how you use what you learned in there in your real life. If you can make use of it emotionally, mentally, or just directly or in your work, then this is your reward. This was your thing. And this was the essence of the academia before. It was about when you are in need. It was something when you are in need, you go. But today, it's not like that. You are going to academia or universities not because you are in need, just because to land a job, just because you wanted to put into your CV. So that is the broken link between the real education and real life. Why I'm saying this? Because back into the conversation, if I would be in my work, for example, I'm working with a colleague who didn't get a proper education with business analytics. He doesn't have a master's degree on any of this stuff. He doesn't even have the undergrad for any coding or any data visualization tools or etc. But he trained himself so well that he's also in the team and he's a very valuable asset in the team, especially in
Hmm.
today's world, especially in the data analytics world. Even heaviness of the universities or diplomas are just going vague and vague. Why? Because the important thing is that to know what you need when you are doing it. So he knew what he needed, so he went to these sources, he went to these courses, or he tried to find that information and learned it. When you want to learn something, then you can learn it. But if somebody is trying to teach you something, then you cannot learn it really. So back into your question. Sorry about this, interference, but I just wanted to share. So for the cultural difference, especially between France and Turkey, for me, it's quite similar.
Really want to know the difference. Like, I consider France is also one of the best thing in education. I
Hmm.
don't know like much insight, but probably like you can share those things here. In US, I see it's more tech guys, tech people. So, I mean, I really want to know like the specific reasons why you felt you should leave France and you should come and join US study.
Yeah, actually, as I say, for my personal things, it was all personal life decision. It wasn't about a comparison between the French education and here. It was more about my personal preference.
Ah,
But I can, talk
okay.
about the differences between those cultures. Um, I can consider myself from a country between in a bridge country between the Asia and Europe because Turkey is just physically a bridge, also a cultural bridge between the Asia and Europe. But
Mhm.
mostly Turkey's current system or current culture is more like European culture, I would say. So all of the systems, all of the standards, all of the way of working is just following the European Union rules, actually. I can say like I was in a more European setup, both in city setup, city life, or educational setup, or many kinds of things. And in whole Europe, there is usually, maybe not in the UK so much, but for the rest of the Europe, it's more social government is emphasized, and people, difference between the people, especially the, economical differences are not, the gap is not very huge. So when you're, for example, getting the health, benefits or other things, they are mostly free, and when you're sending your children to school, you don't pay 20K for a year. So there are lots of differences between two cultures, but I would say, especially in US, it's more economical driven and more individualistic mindset is going on here for me. And the culture is quite different where I come
Mhm.
from.
Amazing. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the Yale. Now, like you came across the Yale opportunity, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
How did you go about how I'm personally very interested to know that journey, that
Hmm.
how you landed up, how you explore that particular opportunity. And it's been a while now, like you have been working there in Yale. How was your experience and all those things?
Yeah, actually, Yale was one of the couple of jobs I guess I applied because I was just in the beginning of my job search, full-time job search. So
Mhm.
I didn't spend so much time for searching the job, and it was a lucky moment for me, to be honest, because it's not about how skilled you are, it's not about always your CV, but it's also that there is a unique role of chance in your life. And I believe I'm kind of lucky in my job searches, at least. I feel like that way because all the time I get an interview, I got the job. In my life, it was always like that. I consider myself as lucky on that particular topic. But when
Mhm.
we are making the interview with the Yale, I was actually um, already felt just from the beginning. They were explaining me what they are trying to do and what is their vision for their team and for Yale's, academic analytics team and what they are trying to do. It was all about, switching from their old methods to the modern tools like using the business analytics more and using the data analytics more with smarter systems like using Power BI, Microsoft Fabric behind, and data warehouses behind. And they were building a data mart, which requires you to understand how the data architecture is working and how you can communicate with it. Also, there is a security layer which you really need to
Mm-hmm.
understand in detail. Also, in the end product side, there is this Power BI and visualization and also reporting side of it. So there is end to end, data flow and integration, and then visualization, also turning it to meaningful insights on the senior leadership or department level. So when they were telling the stories, also they were talking about how they were using Microsoft Access databases in their legacy way. So they they needed somebody who knows both the old tools like Microsoft Access, but also the new tools like Power BI, SQL. I mean, SQL is not the tool, but um, you know, the mindset of the data architecture, but also the using the Power BI or Tableau kind of tools. So it was a unique thing they were looking for, because most of the people, if you look to the CVs, they would say, "Hey, I'm expert on Power BI, I'm expert on SQL," but they don't know how to use Microsoft Access or how to understand it. Okay, they cannot convert this thing. They need to go and learn it. If you see somebody who knows Access, then they would not know how to use Power BI or make the link between them. So I was just in the middle, in the cross section of I knew both worlds and I knew what they're trying to do. And I just said in the interview, literally, I said, "Hey, you are describing your job tailored to me." I literally say to my director like that. So that's how I landed the job, and it was very smooth interview. But maybe for the audience of your podcast listeners, I think the important thing was when the opportunity comes, I was ready for it. If I
Mm-hmm.
go back in time, 12 years ago, and if I would say to myself, like, "Hey, why would I need Microsoft Access? Why would I need that? Why would I learn that?" Then I wouldn't land this job today. Everything, every point in your life is linked to each other. But if you are curious enough to go on a straight path, at some point, when the opportunity comes, if you're ready, you get it. You know, the coming opportunity is
Yeah.
mostly 90% of the time, it's mostly luck. When the luck comes, being ready for it is not luck. It's just how you prepare yourself.
It's a hard work. Yeah,
But
yeah.
also,
How
but also
what kind
dedication.
of stuff you have done, and yeah,
Yeah.
dedication, passion. I think
Yes.
these are the few things which required to work on, and then if you have these things, I think a lot of time people say market is not good, market is doing not great. It's very difficult to get. But I feel if you have that passion, if you capable enough, you have certain things to prove, to bring on the table, I don't think it is very difficult. If you know your work, looking for those kind of people that who can help us with the building something. So my belief always go in that side, that okay, if you are good at something, you gonna get it, you will attract it.
But I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like, all of these things require one specific thing in the core, which is, as we discussed just in the beginning, that loving what you are doing. That is the essence of everything. If you don't love something, for example, if it's about your personal life as well, if you really don't love somebody, you cannot dedicate your life for that person. You cannot, take bold decisions for that person.
Correct.
You cannot, give away things for that person. And in the end, you cannot be happy, because happiness requires some dedication, some work, and then reaching the thing. If everything is given you without you work for them, they cannot make you happy. Happiness is coming with achievement.
Correct.
Achievement comes with dedication and everything, but all of these are rooted like a seed. There is a seed inside you. The water of that seed is your love. So If you have enough love, that seed will grow to a tree. But if you don't much love, it will just
Yeah.
be a little flower which will go in the first winter.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You love something, that's how you get the zeal, you get the passion to achieve that particular thing. Whether it's work or the relationship, anywhere. You have that kind of love, and that love will drive you, that passion will drive you to get things.
And also that, as I said in the metaphor with the tree, from seed to tree, there is no limit for that tree. That's an ongoing journey until you are death. Until you're dead, this tree will grow. So if you keep it with, watering with your love, it will grow and grow and grow and grow, prosper. It will be something magnificent. But if you don't have love to feed it, it will just vanish. So go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, and what legacy you are leaving behind when you go ahead? Are people like going to remember you, what you have added value in their life or to the industry, or what you have done? Now, if for example we remember a lot of people now, what they have done in their life because of that work, right?
Yes.
Not because how they were, like how they were looking, how it's all about their work, how they make people feel, what kind of value we have added in the industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, now tell me about how your day looks like
Um, Actually, my day
in
looks
Yale.
like more about first, I can make it three or four parts, like ongoing projects which we need
Mm-hmm.
to deliver to our internal
Mm-hmm.
customers. Second, the system
Okay.
maintenance and QA with the system, because there also, when you're building a data warehouse or data mart, then you need to be very careful about your data quality and data flow, and if your data is matching in the correct way with the source or not, because you are making additional calculated fields or additional, logics applied over your data to make it more useful. But your logic is not always working well, and you're missing
Mm-hmm.
something sometimes. So you need to be, take care of those kind of things. But this also requires you need to set up systems to catch those errors. So this is one part of the job, data integrity and data quality, and the other part of the job, you know, creating an insightful and um, you know easily understandable, comprehensible dashboard for the users, or report for the users, and make it not as something which will require you do it every time they ask. You want to make it smart and automated, to not to do the same job again and again. So it requires a lot of thinking behind, like how you will
Mm-hmm.
fit the data itself. So you need to think about those things, and putting the pretty, visualizations is the fun part of it, actually, because that's where you
Yeah,
also
it's pretty
use your.
cool. And it makes things easy, right?
Yes, yes. Also, you at the interface part, you also use your imagination a
I
lot.
was saying the visualization, it's a fun part, to be very frank. I feel it makes data, whatever we have, it makes easy to, make people understand. And you can just glance it and you can understand the data inside. So
Yes,
it's good to have those kind of skills, right?
yes. It's not only about visualization of the data. It's also the user experience you are creating. Okay. For example, you are putting a button in there as a navigation button. You can put it in thousands of ways. Okay. You can choose the colors in thousands of ways, but you need to think about what is the UI design requires. What is the best way for user to navigate easily without even giving any instruction to the user. For example, one of the best applications for that for me is that Google Maps. Everyone used Google Maps before. They were,
Sorry.
that's okay. Everyone used the Google Maps before. They understood that just instantly, intuitively, they are interacting with Google Maps. Did we get a kind of tutorial or training to how to use Google Maps? No. So every report you create, every dashboard you create, they all need to be in the same intuitive way. And thinking about this makes you, more creative
Mm-hmm.
and make your job more fun. And at the end, when you create the thing which is working, which is smart, which is appealing, and which is accurate, then you're feeling the satisfaction of, hey, I did a good job today.
It's amazing. It's like mind blowing, I would say. Now, tell me about your future. Now you got the job, and what is your future? What kind of project you are expecting? What kind of where you are working in the future plans? What's your future plans?
Yeah, first of all, I'm in a critical role in my team to make this transition from the old way, legacy way, to the new way. And this is a kind of also
Mm-hmm.
my aim to, see that project is mature enough in the transition because it's a good
Mm-hmm.
experience for me as well,
Mm-hmm.
working with different teams, working with different systems, and learning a lot on the behind. Um, but after that, in the midterm, especially, I would want to focus more on, um, cloud-based data analytics like Azure or AWS,
Mm-hmm.
data science side. Also, I want to, on the parallel, I want to get Microsoft certifications and go through a path to being maybe an MVP on the Microsoft side. So these are my thinking of the ways because I like these tools and I like what I do really. So maybe I need to be in a way to be an expert on what I do. So after that, we will see where it will.
Yeah. And what advice you would like to give to people or students who are looking this?
Actually, as I said, one of the biggest advices I would give are that first, as we discussed, um, experience before joining something. Then you decide. This is the biggest thing.
Mhm.
And the second thing, when you are in already in the field, especially in the data analytics, hardly advise them that using AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, and everything like their second hand because they are, for example, they are my part of my daily job. You know, I use them a lot for almost anything. And the future lies how efficient you are using them. Not anymore knowing the coding very detailed is important. Not anymore important. Just you need to understand first what your code is doing or what your visualization doing or what's happening behind, but you don't need to memorize anything anymore. You don't need to memorize any formula, any code, anything. The code writing is a skill which will doomed to vanish now. But the point is that learning AI to how to use with your work and how to turn it to a efficient, way for your daily work is the key for landing a job or being successful in a job. Just very simple thing for you. For example, I needed to create folders for 35 or 37 departments in a SharePoint site. A classical approach would do create right click, create folder, name the department, enter. Create, right name the department, enter. And do this 37 times, right? This is the
Mhm.
classical approach. It will take how many minutes? Probably 10 minutes or 12 minutes, right? How did I do it?
Correct.
I opened the
Mhm.
chat GPT and write a simple sentence. I said, hey, create me a Python code to create folders in a folder based on my department list in the Excel called department. It created the code in just 5 seconds. I copy pasted code, just change the folder path, and boom, I have my folder. So two things happened here. First, I didn't do a repeating job and bored myself. Second, if
That
I
sounds
ever,
like the productivity you are
yes,
increasing.
if I would ever do the same thing, I save my code to some folder, then I will just go there and use it. That's it. So my motto from the beginning, from my beginning of the career, my motto is not repeating the same thing more than twice. That is the second biggest advice I would give to the people. Use AI, use new productivity tools to automate your work or make it more productive. It's about your daily work, it's about your emailing, it's about your everything. Just be familiar, be expert on how to use them, then you will you will be great. That's my opinion.
It was a wonderful talking to you, Burak, and you have given so much insight. And to be very frank, I felt very motivated, and I'm pretty much sure whenever I have spoken to you, I felt like that, and I feel like to stick with you and never leave you, so that I can keep learning. And I'm pretty much sure the people out there, whoever is watching this video, they will learn something and they will look back and decide their course accordingly. They put their effort accordingly. So with that, thank you so much for giving your precious time to us. And I would say all the best for your future endeavor. You are already doing amazing. You will do great.
I hope it was a really helpful session.